dovetail back to having a conversation about where we're going. And because it's important to understand that every year is a year of improvement in this work. Every year is a year of increasing momentum in this work. And I love the fact that when we talk to each other as advocates in the field, to have that energy reflected really in the leadership in these halls is critically important, and we see that. So if you could share with us a little more, Commissioner, about the where we're going, then I'll go back to you, State Representative. If you could share a little bit more about where you see us going, short, middle, and long term in this work.
Thank you, Stephen. And for folks in the room, we had some handouts. I had a one-pager that's a recruitment by the numbers that summarize the work that we've been doing there kind of in one place, and also a press release that we sent out last week just to let folks know, because it's so hard to kind of put your handle around, get a handle of all of this that's happening. So we put it in one place for you, right? And so you have that. I want to talk briefly about the Northeastern Enhanced Reciprocity Initiative, which you can see in both handouts that you're looking at, which is really streamlining the process for educators who hold out-of-state certifications to obtain the ability to be teaching in Connecticut. And since we started that initiative, we have, and I like the numbers, 977 educators who we've brought into the state that are in over 175 districts teaching in our classrooms. Now that's phenomenal, right? And so when we look at the states that folks are coming from, I joke and I said I don't tell my colleagues in those other states that we're attracting those folks into Connecticut. So 977 of them across 175 school districts, and of that number, close to 200 of them are educators of color. So that's another way that we are helping to really get the numbers that we're talking about in diversifying the educator workforce. And so we just added additional 10 states to those that are able to do that we work with. But it's also interesting to think about the why, right? And so we did that because it also tells us that there's some issues around our own certification process, right? And what that looks like. And so that is work. You've heard the Senator talk about Ed Rising and some of those things. You can get that information there. That's really important. But looking forward, one of the things that we've also done here is to look at modernizing our certification in the state of Connecticut. And so back in January of 2023, we sent a report, thanks to work that was asked of us by the legislature, to look at our certification regulations. And so in January of 2023, we sent that report to the legislature. And in that report, I made a commitment that I'm going to pull together a group of folks, right, to really take a look at that. And pleased to say, in August, we literally did that. And so the Connecticut Educator Certification Council was born. Thank you, Dr. Good, for being a part of that work. And so these are folks that got together over a number of months, really critically interrogating, looking at where we are and what things that we should be thinking about going forward in this work. And so very pleased to say that right now, House Bill 5436 that's here is a result of that work. And so that didn't just happen by magic. It was a lot of folks in the room over those months having really great conversation around a myriad of issues that need to be at the forefront. And so we now have legislation that is part of that. And we can talk about in some more details, but that is a path forward. It creates a board made up of majority educators, right? Because that's what we say. We need to hear from educators who can tell us what needs to happen in this space. Well, yes, if this bill passes and this board comes to life, these educators will be looking at regulations and we'll be looking at paths forward. And there's several things that happen in that space. So that is really one of those pivotal things that I really want to talk about, or at least make you aware. Because sometimes you may see it and you don't understand. So you see the bill and it's like, where did this come from? Hard work of colleagues and folks who got together, right, and really did this hard work together. So that really is important. And I should also pause to say, when I mentioned earlier about those doing this work, and I probably should have shouted out our union partners as well, because they are a part of this work. I know that CEA, for example, is engaged in a number of things, including grant programs and scholarships as well for educators of color. So when I said we are not doing this work alone, so one of the things is working together forward, right? How do we get to common ground? I understand, and I'm sure people will tell you from the council, people didn't always agree with everything in that room. That's not expected. But for the goal that you're trying to achieve, you establish common ground to work together to get this work done. And so we look forward to see the legislation make it through so that that work with this council, with the board, can get up and running to get this work done. And a lot more that is happening. Last one I'll mention, a registered teacher apprenticeship program, which is now happening, and we have 2 pilots. Thank you as well, and I should do a shout out to the governor. He asks about this work all the time, but 2 programs that's now in pilot stage, registered apprenticeship programs where apprentices, folks who want to be teachers, can be paid while they learn. And that program is already started with a commitment for us to do more. Additionally, I keep saying it's the last thing, but there's so much to talk about. And I want to make sure you have it all. We don't often get this chance to make sure everyone understands everything that is happening. But we've also invested, put investments in at 18 higher ed institutions to support paying for the licensing tests, right, that our students or candidates are having to go through. We looked around, talked to them, and said, we understand that's also a barrier. So what can we do? I put $2 million out in this space to do that work as well. So a lot more I can tell you, a lot more to say, but that's where we're going. And I'm calling for us to work together. That really, if there's no other message here, is the partnerships, authentic partnerships. Again, not saying that you will agree on everything, but it is worth the struggle for us to go through and get to that place for the goal on the other side that we're trying to reach.